Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today we're going to be going over the new Marvel Snap update, which comes out on January 10th, so it should be out now at the time of recording this. It is out. I can't find the patch notes on the Marvel Snap app itself, unfortunately, so we'll just have to look here on the website, but that's fine. And if you don't see these updates, make sure you update your game in through Steam or the App Store or whatever. So, first of all, the first thing here says artist credits, so you can now see the artist of the variant, which you could kind of see, but now you can see it a bit more clearly, I believe. This isn't a big deal for too many people, but it's something that probably should be there. Let's see, they filter some stuff a bit better. So they added when cards, like your opponent does some crazy combo that makes like a really long loop. Notably here it says long onslaught mystique and then like Ironheart, probably White Tiger, stuff like that. When your opponent or you do that, it takes like a minute to play out the animation. Now it's just gonna not take that long, hopefully. So that's cool. It says there's an issue with Orca. I don't know that. I haven't played with that card. It's not very good. But now it's also in Series 4, so that's kind of nice. It wasn't a very good card. They're also adding Russian to the language. I don't know what the languages are, to be honest. I guess we can look here. Looks like they have quite a solid chunk of languages. Nothing crazy, but we see Russian is being added, so that's cool. We also see that they're going to be adding a new bundle, so that's fine. I don't know if it'll be worth it or not. I think it'll be a solid bundle, but I think it's pretty expensive as well. So I personally, if you want to spend money, hop into it straight away, then you can certainly spend money on that. And they're also changing the amount of collector's tokens you get. Now it's not set for 100, but at the end of the day, it doesn't actually change the amount of tokens you get. It's just a bit more random, which is fine. Adding some new card sounds and location sounds, so that's fine. And some more visual effects for air and per so that's cool. But then the balance updates what we're here for. Let's see, anything else? Some bug fixes. Nothing too important there. But we see the big balance changes. I guess we'll look at the location changes here. They fixed Oscorp Tower with Professor X. That's not a big deal. They changed some text, and then they reduced the frequency of Warrior Fall, so that's fine. But we see quite a few card updates. The first one here is Arrow. So this was a big card that people are very concerned about, and I think it makes sense to address it. Its ability says that when on reveal, you move all cards your opponent plays this turn to this location. This meant that if you're already winning two of the locations, you play Arrow in the third location, you're essentially guaranteed to win the game. So her stat line was 5'8", now it's 5'7". The developers on commenting about this, they said she's good. Her stat line used to be 5'6" pre-release, so that's interesting. They buffed it up, but then players were able to use it better. So now it's a bit overpowered. So they're buffing her back or nerfing her back down to 5'7", which is fine. Not too much to say about that. It doesn't really change her viability because her biggest use is her ability. The main thing they could do to nerf her is increase her cost to 6. I think that might be in order. I don't think Arrow was absurdly overpowered though, so I think it's fine the way it is. And I think 1 power nerf is perfectly fine. Some people want her to go back down to that 6 power. It doesn't matter too much, in my opinion, though. Interestingly, here we see Galactus, though. The developers say that Galactus is being really, really powerful, which is really surprising to me. And I think a lot of people, sure, Galactus is a solid card. It's a deck build, but apparently it's doing really well, and it's problematic for them. So they're going to drop his power down to 2. Is this impactful? Yeah, it's not like hugely impactful, but Galactus's power definitely matters. It says if this is the only card at this location, it destroys all the other locations, which is just absurd. And then ideally you want to ramp it out before turn 6, because quite frankly, if you only have 2 power or 3 power in total, that's really bad. So the amount of power here, though, is important. And we're going to see it drop down to 2, which is interesting. Honestly, I'm surprised about this, but that's fine. I feel like Galactus is not too bad to deal with. Certainly some decks will struggle, but I don't think it's a big deal. But apparently Team Second didn't Marvel Snap does. So they're going to be nerfing that card. I definitely don't think that nerf was warranted, but as I said, I haven't seen it, played with it, so I don't know. See, Leader, though, another one, if not the biggest card that people are complaining about, which pretty much just copies all the cards your opponent plays on turn 6, and that's really powerful. And then its power level here, 6/4, which is obviously you play it on the last turn, and if your opponent, if you're already winning the game, then you essentially just win because you copy all your opponent's cards. So if you're winning, you keep winning. But if you're losing by, say, 2, then you can overcome that power deficit by dropping Leader, providing 4 more power than whatever your opponent's playing. So that's useful. It's being nerfed down to 3. Is this an important change? It's certainly going to be a little bit impactful. Not that impactful, I don't think, but it could be useful. I don't know. I think it possibly Leader needs to be reworked, especially the combo with Leech and Leader, allowing you to essentially completely guarantee, because now your opponent's on reveal effects aren't going to be way stronger than yours, stuff like that. For example, if you copy Patriot Mystique, that's not really good because it's not going to benefit your board anywhere near as much as your opponent. But if you leech their hand, then it doesn't benefit your opponent either. So that's kind of the idea here. Honestly, I think Leader is not too hard to play around. Just stack, say, one location, you're in a good spot. But people don't like it. And so I think a 1 power nerf is fine. Debatably should have been 2 power nerf, but it doesn't matter. We interestingly see Nova here nerfed as well, which is one of the strangest nerfs I don't think anyone's expecting, and I don't really think it's going to change the game at all. But it was a 1/2, very solid stat line. Dropped down to a 1/1 here, but it says if it's destroyed, all your other cards get +1 power, so in play. So that's pretty big when it's destroyed. It being a 1 cost is obviously nice. 1/2 plus that powerful ability makes it very good. But quite frankly, its power output doesn't matter at all because it's just going to get destroyed. I suppose if it was like really powerful in addition to having a great ability, that'd be a bit problematic. But you're going to try to destroy it every game anyway, so the power output of Nova doesn't really matter. It could be a 1/2, 1/1, 1/0. It's not going to really change it at all. Occasionally, especially if an opponent decides to armor that location, it could be slightly meaningful, but I'd be shocked if this makes any change here. I don't really know why they did it. I guess 1/1's a bit more balanced, but it doesn't matter. We see Drax and Groot. So previously they were 4/4 and 4/3s, and then Groot said if your opponent played a card here, the student get +3 power. If with Drax, if your opponent played a card here, +4 power. So they'd become a 4/8 and 3/6 respectively. 4/4 and 3/3 are underwhelming stat lines. Then 4/8 and 3/6 are very good stat lines. But obviously, they're very swingy, and that's pretty much what the developers have said. So they're reducing the swinginess. Now they only Groot gives +2 power, starting out at 3/4. So you'll still end up with that 3/6 stat line if you hit. If you miss, you'll be a bit better off. Same thing with Drax now, 4/5, going to a 4/8 instead of a 4/4 to a 4/8. So is it important? Yeah. Honestly, though, it's not that great because they're a bit weaker if you trigger them again with Odin, or if you double trigger them with Wong or Onslaught or Camartage. So I get why they're doing it to make it less swingy. I think Groot doesn't see much play at all. I don't really know what you'd play Groot in. I play Drax in like a Storm control list. You could play Groot in a control list as well. But then Drax also sees play with Zabu, the new Season Pass card. So I don't really think this card needs to be like buffed per se. I personally am not a big fan of these changes. I like the swinginess, encouraging higher amounts of skill, but I get why they're doing it, and I guess it makes the game a bit better. It's a pretty much useless change, though, because like they're going to end up with the same power anyways, unless you like miss all the time. But if you miss all the time, you shouldn't play the cards. I'd say the Groot change is more notable, putting it up to that 3/4 stat line, which is the expected stat line. So Groot now becomes quite strong. So, I mean, not that good, but I think most 3-drops are played for whatever their abilities are, so I don't think it changes too much, but that's fine. We see Hazmat being buffed up to from a 2/1 to a 2/2. Her ability says on reveal, I believe you decrease the power of all cards in play, both yours and your opponent's, by 1. So obviously, if your opponent has way more cards than you, which is obviously your goal, then you get a massive swing. So I'm surprised by this. I think Hazmat is like a very fine card. She's not like the best, but Hazmat's like a solid card. I don't know why it's being buffed, but that's fine. I don't think it. Apparently, it's doing badly, but I don't think it matters too much. We also see Black Cat being buffed. That makes sense. Black Cat's kind of bad. 3/6, obviously good stat line, but if you don't play her at the end of by the end of the turn that you draw her, she gets discarded from your hand, meaning that if you draw her in your opening hand or just before turn 3, then she just disappears. And she can increase the power of Dracula, the power of Morbius by 2 or whatever, but it's not that good. And she can also be brought back with Hela, I guess. That's not that good. Overall, I'd say Black Cat's pretty underwhelming, and that's what they said too. So they're buffing her. I don't actually know if this will help. It just makes she's a very swingy card. You really want to draw her on exactly turn 3, maybe turn 4 to get value out of her, but I think it's fine buffing her. I don't know what she needs, but I think she's a card that it's okay to be bad, but I get the buff, and I think it's probably necessary to make her better. And lastly, we see Nakia getting put through the blender once more. She's, I think, the most changed card in Marvel Snap. She gives the leftmost 2 cards in your hand plus 2 power. She's a 3/1. Now she's a 3/2, which is fair. I think she's a bit underwhelming. So they're going to buff her up. So that makes sense. I think they need to, I don't know. She's been changed like 5 times or something. She used to be absurdly overpowered and then really bad, and they're trying to get her back up. So that's fine. I think she's fine. Comment down below if you play with her. Obviously, this is just a rundown of the patch notes. So comment down what you think. I'm trying to think. I wish possibly Mr. Negative should have been modified. Maybe Sarah. Stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure what I would have changed, but there's certainly some really strong cards that they haven't nerfed. So it is what it is, but I'm happy to see them updating stuff. They're not making any big changes. They are essentially all just 1 power changes, but that's fine. I think they're doing their best to balance the game in a calm way that's not going to throw off new players. And overall, I'm happy with this. So comment down below your thoughts on this. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. And I'm excited to see you in the next video.